Hey guys, I'm back, part 2 of Friday Q&A, and I have the questions on my phone here. So let's just continue where we left off. George Silva, what type of foam do you use and repair tire damage while on stage? So I don't really use foam. We just have like CO2 cartridges. I like the big air cartridges because they're big, although apparently they're flammable, which I found out from the press deflator guy. But interestingly enough, I use Stan's sealant in my tires instead of a foam. And fortunately, between the combination of using Stan's and the tires I use, which are the Continental tires, which I'll be getting to in a minute, I hardly ever flat. So that's great. Ernie Villa, where do babies come from? Well, Ernie, if you have to ask me where babies come from, you must not be getting up to what you should be getting up to, which is maybe practicing making babies. That aside, I would Google where do babies come from and look at images and enjoy. William Vermeil, how many recovery beers should I consume after a big ride? Well, William, it depends on what type of beer you're drinking, because some beers are very low in ABV, which tend to be the fizzy yellow beers. Stone Brewery says fizzy yellow beers are for sissies, which I agree with. Unless you're talking about slightly fizzy IPAs, which happen to be yellow as well. Now, it just depends on your tolerance level. You shouldn't drink beer immediately following a ride if you're trying to focus on recovery, because chances are you're dehydrated. So I would drink some water first, get some calories, and then go for the beer. But there's lots of studies showing a beer right after a bike ride is good for recovery too. I'm not going to argue. Drink beer, enjoy, but drink good beer. All right. John Kohler asking me to talk about watts per kilogram, intervals, power files, and nerdy science stuff that makes me crush people. I am a nerdy scientist. I have my master's degree in electrical engineering, so there's a little nerd inside here that loves math. That is another video I'm going to make on my own about power, because that can't be answered in a very short period of time. But very good question. Philip Pierce, do I do any cross training? During the season, I don't really do much cross training. I do yoga, which is pretty much it. But in the off season, I love running, skate skiing, yoga, biking, hiking, snowshoeing. But in the season, I don't do a lot of those other activities because they tend to make me tired. If you don't do them regularly, when you start doing them again and start up, you get sore, and then I can't actually train as much on the bike, which is kind of a problem. Douglas Vlad wants to know how to get started riding again when you're starting out for weight loss and to get in shape. So first and foremost, this is something that I actually just learned, I'd say 2 years ago. The amount of riding you do will make you fit, but it won't necessarily make you lose weight. So if you want to lose weight, the key to that is your diet, 100%. It's very, very important to control your diet. And then the bike riding will help you be fit and help you shed a little bit of weight. But if you really want to lose weight, you got to focus on your diet. And you're probably wondering what kind of diet. So that's up to you and something we can talk about later. But as far as getting into riding again, how to kind of get started, I wouldn't recommend pushing yourself and hammering out the gates on your first ride. I'd recommend easing into it, starting to ride more consistently and regularly. Maybe start with 45 minutes a day, work your way up to whatever you have time for, maybe 2 hours a day. And once you have that base and you feel comfortable riding, then you can throw in some intervals 1 or 2 days a week, which will help you lose weight. But if your goal is weight loss, definitely check out your diet. I eat mostly a plant-based diet, but everybody does different things. Paleo, no carbs, I don't know. I pick a diet that makes me feel the best and healthiest, and that's different for everybody. But if you want to learn about my diet, I would watch Forks Over Knives, the documentary. Next question, Luke Goulertz. How to get over the fear, anxiety of doing your first timed marathon race when you know and fear the rest will be better and faster than you and think, I'm going to suck? Great question. It's pretty normal to be worried about how you're going to compare to other people when you line up for a race, because let's face it, your placing is how you did comparatively to everybody else. But if you're lining up for your first timed marathon or any race, I would recommend changing your mindset and not saying, how am I going to compare to other people? I would go to the race, line up and say, I've trained and done my best to prepare for this. I'm doing this because I love the excitement of a race. I like the community, and focus on the reason you're racing. And it's because you love to ride your bike and because you want to challenge yourself. And the great thing about endurance racing is it isn't always about the other people you're racing. It's more about challenging yourself. So just think about you improving yourself and not being worried about what anybody else thinks, because the only person that really cares about your results are you. So just have fun with your race and make sure that you don't put too much pressure on yourself, because then it won't be fun anymore. And we've all been there. Next, aloha, Grant. I wish I was in Hawaii right now. Jealous. Next is Bruce Pantaha. Bruce, I know you ride a kick-butt bike for racing and trails, but what is your go-to bike to cruise to a pub? Love it. I wish I had a picture I could put in here, but I've been riding a Norco City Glide urban bike. It's my first urban bike I got this year. Has a basket and a bell. It's more kind of upright and stylish looking. I'll post the link so you guys can check it out. It's fun. And next is Omega Man. What are your favorite tires to use? I just so happen to have them right here. Continental. I normally run the 2.4s, but these are the 2.2s. The Cross King. I like these because they are the do-all tire. They work anywhere. So this is the tire I put on my bike. I like bigger tires for riding in BC because it's technical and awesome. But for races that have more kind of dirt road riding, which is a lot of the foreign stage races, I opt for the 2.2 because it's lighter weight and I don't necessarily need the volume. But this is my favorite tire. In the protection, you can run it tubeless, has extra sidewall buildup here, but it doesn't have the weight of a UST. And yeah, I can count probably on one hand the serious flats I've had. I've had like burps where you have to put some CO2 in it, but where I've had to actually change the tire and stick a tube in, I've hardly ever had to do that. So great durability for the tires. Highly recommend those. Jack Wayne, do I take supplements? Not really. I try to get all of my my nutrients and everything from my food. The only time I take supplements is while I'm doing a stage race. I tend to take branched chain amino acids upon finishing a stage to help me recover for the next day. But that's pretty much it with supplements. I've bought them before, I've tried them, but I have a medicine cabinet, and you probably do too, of a bunch of vitamins and supplements that I said, I'm going to take these, and then I stopped taking them consistently, and I just don't really like swallowing pills. It's kind of awkward and weird. Patrick Can, when is Canyon going to be selling bikes in the US? That is a great question, my friend. Don't know the answer to that. Jean-Philippe, cyclocross bikes. I love cyclocross. I wish I had more time to race cyclocross. I've done some, normally involving a cape and a crazy skin suit with a unicorn on it. Pretty fun, but cross is a fun way of racing, but I don't get to do a lot of it because it's kind of the opposite of ultra endurance stage racing. So I think you should do it. It's fun. David Mizell, what drivetrain do I prefer? Everything's going by 1x. So I've been riding the SRAM 1x11 for the last 2 years, and the 1x11 is great because you don't have to deal with the front derailleur. I've had so many issues with front derailleurs. But the bad side is, for me, I have to always be changing my gear out depending on the race. And sometimes I don't know what the terrain's going to hold, so I can be under-geared or over-geared, and it can be a challenge. But for riding at home, recreational riding, cross-country mountain bike racing, the 1x11 is great. For the ultra-endurance event, it's a little more of a challenge, and I just have to be a bit more prepared. But it's lighter, the shifting is so precise and wonderful, and it's really easy to change the chainring. All you really have to do, as long as you're within a certain range, is change the chainring without actually having to resize the chain. So I like the 1x11. I'm not sold one way or another, but for now I've been running the 1x11. So definitely worth checking out if you're interested in deciding for yourself. If you're doing ultra endurance stage racing, I don't know. I'm thinking about going back to the 2x10, but we'll see. Anyway, that wraps it up. That's 10 minutes, and it's Friday afternoon now and evening on the East Coast. So hope you guys have an awesome weekend. Ride your bike, tell me how it goes, and we'll see you next week. Bye.